the home team, Mississippi Farm Bureau. Joined now by Mike Bianco, head baseball coach at Ole Miss. His team coming off of a series win this weekend against Mississippi State. And, Coach, tough Friday night, heart pounding Saturday night, and then pretty impressive showing yesterday. What was your takeaway from this weekend?
Just proud of our guys, and as you just mentioned, and for those that followed the series, it was a tough night on Friday night. I thought their Friday night starter, Steven, pitched really well and really dominated us on the offensive end. And I thought Riley Maddox, our Friday guys, pitched really well. Got to the sixth with only one unearned run, and then just kind of lost it there, and then we just couldn't get off the field. And so it's just a kind of, in that type of series with so much emotion, it was kind of a gut punch. And just proud of the way our guys responded. Come back on Saturday, they come back from 3 different deficits and extra innings to hang in there on a very long day and well into the late night, and then play well on Sunday as well. So just a lot to be proud of.
To me, the thing that was so interesting about Saturday night was the way it unfolded. So there's a late inning deficit. Obviously, you come back from 7-3 with those 4 runs in the 8th inning, and then twice in extra innings you fall behind because of a home run and just kind of keep answering. And you hadn't seen a ton of that from your team this year. It kind of happened in the game against Tennessee. I guess that middle game in Knoxville. Was there anything that you saw in particular that, like, the fight was a little bit different from them in that comeback?
Well, I think sure. Yeah, I mean, you got to be careful. I think a lot of times, if you lose, you don't have any fight. If you win, you had fight. But after Friday night, then I think that's what I'm pointing to, Richard. Is I was proud. I thought we didn't show a lot of toughness. We got we let that inning get away from us to where we had no chance. If we could have left it at 2 or 3 runs on Friday, but we just it looked like once we got punched, we just took it. And so I was proud of the way we just continued to have good at bats, continued to stay in the fight, as you mentioned.
Yesterday, on the mound, Mason Nichols. I think a lot is made of the offense and the 14 runs and the fact that it was a run rule game, but he was really, really good. And to me, the thing that stood out the most was the fact that he didn't give any freebies away. No walks, no hit batters, and he seemed very much in control.
No, you're exactly right, and you got to do that game on TV, so I'm sure you watched a lot of it from the center field angle and camera, and just see how he commanded the ball with 3 different pitches the entire day. And I said this to him, and I don't mean it. Obviously, it's a big weekend, a big win, and all the things that Ole Miss fans are excited about. But when you think back of how well he pitched, it's hard for me I can't remember our last time a game was pitched like that. And we've had kids that have struck out more guys, but just the command and the excellence on the mound with, again, just an array of 3 pitches. I mean, he just really was almost perfect, in the way he attacked the hitters.
And it's rare to hear you say that. I mean, I've heard so many times when just people watch a game, you see a guy punch out a bunch of guys, and you've said, yeah, it was really good, but, there might have been a little bit more. So I feel like that's pretty high praise coming from you.
It is, and I think, especially in today where so much is made of velocity, so much is made of strikeouts and swing and miss, that you can be talking so positively about a guy, but that was just because he pitched. He wasn't a thrower yesterday. He didn't beat him on raw stuff. He beat him on good stuff that was located really well, and you don't see that as much anymore. So, I'm just really proud of him.
All right, so here's the hard question. As a pitcher, how do you replicate that? Because, a guy that's got 3 good pitches, if they're all on and he can mix them and the game's called well and you can get that type of performance, it's hard to do it over and over. How do you do that?
Well, I think you trust it. You talk about trusting your stuff, believing in your stuff, and I think that's what, sometimes it gets, and Mason and I talked about that today, that, sometimes, you have an outing like that, to where you learn that it's really you just start to trust the location more than the velocity. That if you're trying to throw it harder, sometimes you're going to miss your spot, and it may be at 60 feet 6 inches, you only miss it by 4, 5, 6 inches, which isn't very much, but it's enough for that hitter to get the barrel on the ball versus hit it off the end or hit it off the handle. And again, we used to coach that way and talk that way. You don't see that as much anymore in this day, and I think that's why it was such a special thing. And sometimes you learn that lesson through outings like that.
Visiting with Mike Bianco, head baseball coach at Ole Miss. My guess is when you were recruiting a catcher out of Oxford High School, you didn't anticipate that halfway through the season you'd stick him in right field. Campbell Smithwick may have lost some confidence behind the plate and may have seen that bleed over into his offense. You put him in the outfield this week, and he responded with his best offensive game and probably the best weekend that he's had since he's been in an Ole Miss uniform.
Yeah, that was really cool, and happy for him, and a really good kid, and he's going to be a really good catcher in our program. But one of the things, he's not only going to catch and defend, but he's going to hit. We've always believed in the bat, and so if you just talk about right field, we just asked him and said, hey, we want to get you some at bats. And, we got to put you in the outfield. All you have to do is catch the ball. They hit the ball in the air, just run after it and catch it like you have your whole life. And let's not make this too complicated. And you've seen me over the years, Richard, I'm not scared to put, infielders or catchers out there. We had Calvin Harris, as a freshman, playing in the outfield, as a sophomore, he played in the College World Series. So, Campbell kind of fits into that, I think, train of thought where he's a really good athlete and can do those types of things.
And the way baseball works, the first 2 balls of the game were hit to him.
It's amazing, isn't it? What a sport we have. You just can't hide, and it's not like football. Okay, let's attack that outside linebacker or that DB because he's new. Baseball, there's that's what we always talk about. Why it's such a great game. You can't call timeout and devise a play. They're going to hit it somewhere, and you can't control it. And it's a lineup. You can't call timeout and put your best player at the bat. It's the lineup is the lineup. Whoever's batting. So, but it's amazing how the ball will find you 100%.
I want to ask you about one other outfielder, Ethan Leger, who's played a good left field this year. Does he fall into that same category you were talking about a second ago? Athletic enough, he was an infielder. We need you in left field. Go do it.
Yeah, and really, to tell you the truth, and I've said the story several times, maybe not on your show, but, Ethan came back, made a decision to come back. He could have signed a professional contract this summer, and he said, I want to come back because I want to. His best friend, Braden Jobert, was winning the national championship with LSU, and he said, that's why I came to Ole Miss. I want to come back, and I want to go to Omaha. And, we had just signed Fisher. And we said, hey, listen, we'll give you a shot at third, but we're not sure. We want you back, but you may play short. You may play second. You may even play the outfield. And mostly in the fall, we played him in the infield. He played a little bit of outfield, but we knew that would be, an easy transition. Let's try the other positions. If you watch him in pregame in infield, outfield, he takes ground balls at shortstop every single day. So he's quite an athlete. He can play anywhere on the field.
We got a message earlier asking this question. We talked about it, but I said I would ask you, do you know how many times you've been ejected in your career? You and I talked about it yesterday. We know it doesn't happen often, but do you have any idea how many it's been?
No, I don't. I probably would be wrong, but I would say less than 10 in 27 years, but I hope it's not more than that. My mom might be looking down at me, a little upset if it's more than that. But it's something that you try. I hope we're better with me in the dugout than not in the dugout. But so you try not to let that happen very often. But my emotions got that provided Friday night.
Do you think that provided a spark for your team in the 12th inning?
Yeah, but, and I appreciate that, and a lot of people have made that comment, and that wasn't really the intention. I said in the postgame, I disagreed with the way they were ruling all of that, and with just the warning, and my emotions got the best of me. But the truth of the matter is, I didn't do it for that. I went out there to actually change the pitcher and asked, you ejected him, right? And and then everybody saw what happened after that. But I hear that, and I understand people's thinking, but I also think that takes a little bit away from the players. I mean, they won the game. It wasn't me getting ejected. They put the good at-bats together. They hung together. They did what you said earlier a few minutes ago. They showed the toughness and the resolve, to come back. So I think some of that, let's not take credit away from that. They deserve that.
Congratulations on a good weekend, Mike. Always appreciate